G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff. Women are not mad at men. They tell you they are, but they're not. The reality is, they're avoiding accountability. Accountability for their predatory behaviour. Feminists have turned marriage from a relationship into a retirement plan. Women are choosing toxic men. They are raising toxic men. They are creating toxic men. And they're being hypocritical about it. Don't take my word for it. When it comes to dating,
A lot of women are just mentally ill. A lot of women are just mentally ill. A lot of women are just mentally ill. A lot of women are just mentally ill when it comes to dating, and someone has to say it, and well, it might as well be me. And I know this is going to trigger some of you, but
some. Oh boy. Some, she says? Yeah, I can see my comment section filling up with angry feminists. If only they would be polite, because they're not. And because they're not polite, YouTube takes down their comments. It's so funny. They scream, "You took down my comment." No, YouTube did, because you can't be polite. A lot of people know that. But straight up hypocritical behaviour that needs to be called out. Yes, women choose toxic men, but there's many reasons for it. But let's see her softball version.
this is straight up hypocritical behavior that needs to be called out. You don't want the nice guy, so instead you go for the toxic bad boy who treats you like garbage.
Usually because you have daddy issues and want to get back at him for all the things he did not give you growing up. Or worse, he reminds you of daddy. Yeah.
You'd rather chase the chaos, the drama, and the challenge of trying to fix someone who clearly doesn't want to be fixed.
Or you're unable to fix them because you only did 6 months of psychology at college and suddenly think you're the world's greatest genius on human behaviour, when Carl Jung himself couldn't fix anybody. Jesus Christ even said there are people you can't save. But you know, you're the holy third coming.
We ignore the green flags from good guys because they feel boring or
Yeah, they're not a safe option because other women will want them. That's the reality. They don't want someone they can lose. They want someone they can control.
too available. Make
Also, toxic boys think they're predators. So, when in fact it's the woman who's the predator in the dating world.
that makes sense. Then when the relationship crashes and burns, which it always does,
Which is why they choose the relationship in the first place.
instead of reflecting on the choices and accepting that actions have consequences,
Because their entire life, daddy and mummy has forced daddy to protect you from those consequences. And society itself forces everyone around you to protect you from those consequences.
you run to your friends, run to the internet, and complain that there are no good men left.
Because there are plenty of women who will give you 30, 40, 50, even 100,000 views, claps, likes, say, "You go, girl." And some of these women will make 10, 20, 30 videos a year and make, well, maybe a couple of $100 a month, but it's validation. And TikTok validates some of these women. Oh, and of course you get approached to do OnlyFans. Oh, you're popular. You'll make money. You want to make millions of dollars. You know, and so, yeah, social validation turns into exploitation, but you want to be exploited. And then you complain because it gives you something to complain about. Nothing will convince a woman to give up her emotions for good. No, they will always choose the emotion, whether it's good or bad, because it's a drug. Okay? For women, emotions are heroin. Society's slowly figuring that out.
But the reality is, you literally chose this.
Yeah. And they say no, it's social pressure. Social pressure, whenever a woman talks about social pressure, that's the first step to avoiding accountability.
You had options. You had the good guy right.
You had a classroom full of good guys. You had dated all the good guys. But you were burned. No, you were run through. You were burned because you tried to validate yourself through sex. Now you want to validate yourself through being a predator.
There, but he wasn't exciting enough for you. But a lot of you would rather find out the hard way.
This is because the primary driving factor of 90% of humanity is ego, not logic.
And while you're choosing drama and toxicity over genuine love and respect,
You're demanding it. Again, because society will give you validation when it doesn't happen. And you know it won't happen, but deep down, you still wish it would happen because you are not listening to your brain. You are listening to your emotions. And your emotions aren't sending you signals. They are just buzzing in your brain. A lot of women start smart and end up dumb because they keep turning off their logic, filling their head full of music, filling their head full of anger, filling their head full of slogans, and all the good experiences you have in life are burnt out of your brain by that constant toxic sludge. A lot of these videos, particularly TikTok, are highly addictive because it's 2 minutes of rage. Orwell warned us about TikTok, only he called it 2 minutes of rage.
those good guys get swooped up by women who actually appreciate them.
Yeah, it's about 40%. Yeah, about 40% of the population will have close to a stable relationship. It's not guaranteed. There's always going to be ups and downs. But the problem is, women don't want the ups and downs of a stable relationship. They want the jackpot. That's why they chase toxic men. Toxic men are the jackpot because they can't get to a millionaire, so they go for the next best thing. The con artist, the big dreamer. And because they're hoping the ship will come in, and when it doesn't, they'll find the next one, the next one, the next one. They don't care if he's a bikie who's making money on the side, or street mechanic, or whatever. But they're looking for that toxic bad boy because they think it's going to elevate them socially, because even if the relationship fails, they are now the victim. Whatever it is, if he's beating, some women will take a beating for 20, 30 years so they can build up those sympathy points, so they can take a man for everything. And men, it's hard to, when a man is broken, it is very hard, right? It's easier to save a broken boy than it is to fix a broken man. We have jails full of broken men, and they come from what? 76% of them come from single mothers. Women break men all the time. And of course, governments not wanting the competition lets them. Billionaires would be only millionaires if there weren't so many broken men in society, because there'd be more competition. There'd be more businesses, more companies collaborating and cooperating against them. Farmers, instead of begrudging their neighbours, would have huge farming conglomerates and farm collectives unable to be taken over by the likes of Bill Gates and his corrupt machine. But no, it all starts with the women. And it started centuries ago with the toxic The toxicity started with poetry. Men who couldn't get laid would butter up women with flattery. Often, this is why oral sex took a huge all the way through the Victorian era. Masturbating a woman and giving her oral sex wasn't seen as cheating because there wasn't the penis in the pie hole. Yeah, a blowjob or vaginal sex or anal sex was actually a crime, was considered cheating, but not a little fingering or a little bit of light flattery with the tongue, cunniling. Yeah, this is the problem with the world. They're always trying to justify their actions instead of being good. They spend more effort into... People put more effort because they're predatory. Whenever you hear a woman say, men are predatory, no, cross it out. Humanity is predatory.
You can't reject good men and then act shocked when you're left with trash.
Again, it comes down to the fact that they think their shit will come in, even though 99% of the time, the only thing that comes in is a shit sandwich.
So let's just stop blaming all men for the type of men you keep choosing. The problem isn't that good men don't exist, it's that you don't want them. A lot of women are just mentally ill when it comes to dating. A lot of women are just mentally ill. A lot of women are just mentally ill when it comes to...
Here's the reality, and experts are slowly catching up. They know women are predatory. That women do not actively seek out a partner. They seek out a victim. They actively... Now, if they're seeking out toxic men, what they're looking for is a disposable man. However, they are also drawn to similar traits. Toxic women and toxic men are overconfident, highly assertive, and they're violent individuals. They are always they're always projecting confidence to hide weakness, to hide fear, right? People who mimic behavior, aka sociopaths, seek out fellow sociopaths because they see those sociopathic tendencies as positive traits. It is this psychopathy that led to the rise of piracy and the Viking era and many other eras through humanity, leading up to World War I. Women were actively, I think for about 50 years or so, since the Victorian era, women were actively chasing soldiers and getting them to recount how they killed men with their bare hands, and that would offer themselves freely to be ploughed by these heroic warriors. So it created a toxic feedback that by World War I, men were so jacked up on the idea of going out and killing that there was no way you could stop Britain from going to war against Germany. Britain was constantly provoking war with Germany, and so was France. Germany was industrializing at a faster rate than England. Germany had a bigger population. The English Empire was crumbling. They needed a unifying factor to keep everything together. A lot of women's behavior is subconscious. They do not consciously engage their logical brain. They always tell their little voice in their head to shut up and go away. They don't like their conscience. A lot of the toxicity is familiarity and what's called childhood coding. This is usually learned behavior from their mother, where they go around learning the hypocrisy of their mother smiling to the husband as he comes home, taking his paycheck, and then grumbling at his measly, meager income. And this emotionally damages the child, particularly when the mother is cheating, which is a 40% chance. And of course, women being told negative things about boys, don't date boys, don't do this, don't do that, boys only want one thing. So they grow up childhood coded to be hypocritical and to go against their own biological urges. Women destroy each other all the time with constant repetition. Our repetition compulsion, psychological tendency to recreate trauma. That's why political groups constantly harass, constantly smear, constantly degrade, constantly besmirch, so that it creates repetition compulsion in the brain, where the negative feedback is the only feedback you get. It becomes the only feedback you seek. So emotionally damaged women seek out unavailable men, hoping to this time to win their approval, because you had a daddy who walked away, you had an emotionally distant mother, you had again, society creates these emotionally damaged men, and all it takes is a reduction in the workforce to solve all these problems, right? We overemploy. We're taking away jobs from men. We're destroying our own civilization to make friends with India and China and Africa when they're not our friends. They're our enemies. They want what we have, and they're willing to destroy us to get it. And unfortunately, there are so many within our society who are just willing to destroy our society to please the God. Oh God, I'm a good person, aren't I? So the ultimate toxic relationship is the God botherers, the pathetic people pleasers. And you have abhorrent social traps throughout society that actually encourage anxiety, to encourage hesitation. These are triggers in the brain that are carried out, when, kids are separated, told to that, you're mean, you're a bully, you scare her. Most of the time, it's actually not scare, it's excitement. Teachers lie because they are part of the toxic establishment. The toxic establishment will only go away as MGTOW grows. Because as MGTOW grows, the toxic people lose influence over the majority. And society will correct itself. But it's taking too long. Why? Because we have a freaking uni party in power. We do not assert ourselves. All right, so you're told about the illusion of desirable traits. Somewhat is true. Women are attracted to confidence. They like chivalry. They want chivalry. What they don't want is an overload of affection. They want... This is the problem, right? Manipulators and narcissists are masters, but what they do is they overload early in the stage in affection and then withhold it, because the woman, once they're deeply hooked on that affection, will chase that affection. And they use it to get sex until they're bored. So there is the excitement of unpredictability. Yeah, there's the fact that if you grew up in a high-stress environment, the randomness of a toxic partner will trigger dopamine and familiarity. There's also the savior complex, the religious figures, the empathetic women who think they can fix everyone. The liberal hippy-dippy who thinks a kumbaya, a rainbow coalition. Instead of diversity of Africans in Africa, and Europe is for Europeans, Asia is for Asia, and all the colonized countries like Australia, New Zealand, and America are left alone, right? To stay white majority, simply because we built the civilizations there. No. Right, you have the South Americans who want to colonize the North because they think it belongs to them now. You have the Africans who want their fair share. So you have so many toxic people with different mentalities all converging on each other. But ultimately, this ego and this desire for achievement, women don't see marriage as the achievement. They see the what they get. And if they can get, and this is why some of them chase, multiple marriages, so they can accumulate and acquire more and more each time. And as we've seen lately, these cycles can be broken. MGTOW, people who spot early flags of narcissism in women are walking away. This is, saying to women, if you're over 30, I'm not dating. Women, it used to be women in their 40s. It's now women in their 30s who can't find a date because men are seeing, well, instead of analysing them for red flags, we're just going to assume, right, that if they've dated for 10 years and haven't gotten married, they're toxic. Now, with women, they're trying to turn everything around on us. That's what they do. They project everything men do, right? And men walking away. No, it's women walking away. It's ex-wives who don't. Ex-wives don't deserve nice things. So the more women talk, the more they talk themselves out. And yes, I've seen the comment section where people are saying, well, you're just doing exactly what they want. No children. Well, you're the ones killing you. Women have aborted 65 million children. A couple of million men walking away and suddenly it's our fault? Yeah. See, that's the problem with you simpletons, is the simpletons, right? They always want the simple answer. They always want the excitement. They always want the drama. And they always think that it's always going to be like TV where it's going to always be a positive outcome. And you never hear about that. You never hear people talk about the constant positivity of television. Right? It's why dark dramas are rare, but so liked. Because people feel the realism in it. They see. And a lot of psychologists will tell you, yeah, it's not going to be rosy every time. You're not going to win every battle. You're not going to be successful in every endeavor. But this toxic trait, right? And the most toxic trait of all, it does come from the fixer mentality, is the ego of the perfect society. I'm going to be the next Jesus. I'm going to make the perfect society. And you get this in Islam too. Oh, Muhammad was the perfect man. I'm going to do everything his way, and we're going to create a perfect world. And you get it in Judaism, you get it in communism, you get every single ism. Right? You can't blame religion when politics is religion. People are treating politics like a religion. They're treating their religions like politics. They can't accept the idealism is an individual struggle. They have to project outwards. Why? Because it's the ego of achievement. Oh, look what I've done. I made the perfect society. So you have these constant meddlers, most of them middle-aged women with nothing else to do, because they fill their day with emptiness. And then they chase some huge, unattainable achievement to fill their days with glory, so everyone will give them the attention they crave. So again, it comes down to attention seeking. Now, psychologists don't really have much of an answer. Most of the time, they tell you the problem, they tell you the cause, solutions. Yeah, most psychologists don't have them. Most sociologists don't have them. Most politicians don't have them. Because if you're trying to break the cycle, it has to be at the individual level. And that's why we have a nanny state right now, is that everyone's trying to fix everyone else. Oh, we're going to introduce speed limit in cars. we introduced speed limiters in trucks already, so we're going to put them in cars. We're going to make society safer. We're going to make the car's engine not turn on if you don't have your seatbelt in, or if you're tired, or if you've driven for a certain amount of time, the car won't start. These meddlers are toxic, right? The most toxic behavior of all is the ego of achievement, right? The perfectionist, or whatever you want to call them, the ego of achievement, the savior complex, when they think they can save everyone, they always look for the people. They make excuses for every criminal as a tragic hero. He's just trying to feed his kids, And so you have a lot of people doing a lot of damage, and part of the someone remembered the pimp slap revolution is, a lot of these people need a good slap of reality. They need all these foreigners need to be sent home. And of course they can say, you in stolen land. Well, then you go to England and tell the Pakistanis. They don't yet. People in America say you're on stolen land, won't go to London and tell the Pakistanis to go home. So, hypocrites. The world's solutions are to literally wind the clock back to pre-feminism and start again. This time, knowing all the problems going forward. But they don't want that. Because they're afraid of losing their validation, their attention. They would rather collapse society completely than put rules and regulations on themselves and live up to the standards they expect in others. Thank you for watching. I'm sure to have triggered a lot of people. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you made it this far, you're clearly not triggered or easily triggered. So I appreciate you. And you can support, perhaps you'll support the channel. You support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.